There are 365 days in a year. Now, that's a long time, but what about making a detrimental error 1,000 days into your dream game project? Yeah, maybe that's a little bit of a stretch. It's more like 500 days, but you know what I mean. It's basically the same thing. It's a long time. Anyway, after hundreds of early mornings and late nights, I decided I was ready. I wanted to show the world what I'd been working on. The problem is, the project just isn't ready. It can't be. But regardless, it's time. The day has come to release the public playtest my fans have been patiently waiting for. Our story begins in August 2021 when I received an email from Steam asking me to participate in the upcoming Steam Next Fest 2021. To me, this was a dream come true. One of the biggest game distribution platforms wanted me to participate in their annual event for indie game developers around the world. Now, the problem here was that in order to participate in the event and have your game shown off to the masses, your game needed two things. Your game needs to have a trailer showing off its core features, and your game needs a playable public demo. The trailer was no problem. I released a successful Kickstarter a few months back, so that was already taken care of. A demo, on the other hand, yeah, that was not easy. Well, after receiving news that I needed this demo out by October 1st, we had just over 4 weeks to get our game into proper working order. And, create an entire mini campaign for our players to experience during playing the demo. Our game in its current state had most of the mechanics in place that we wanted to show off. However, we had never worked on actually creating any real maps. We had 1 to 2 test rooms for us to work out our game's mechanics, but if we wanted to release this demo, we would have to really buckle down and get to work. Well, the first major item on the list was adding in dungeons to inform our players of one of the most crucial aspects of the game. We wanted to design challenges that would both challenge the player mentally or mechanically in the overworld, with mazes, timer gates to get to a checkpoint in a certain amount of time, but also challenge our players through difficult monster encounters to progress in the RPG-like aspects of the game as well. The main problem here is that we didn't have enough time to actually design properly planned out dungeons, and so we were left with dungeons that either A, got players feeling frustrated not being able to complete them, or B, challenges that just felt slightly underwhelming and without true purpose. Another aspect I wanted to improve on with this demo playtest was fixing the battle scene for the 50th time. If you've been a fan of the Devlog series for a while now, you will probably be aware that I just can't seem to be satisfied with this section. I tried another attempt and I was happy with it for the time being, so I created a more simplified aesthetic and made the background adapt depending on the environment you are currently battling in to add variety to the player's battle experience. We designed some rooms that players can experiment with exploring, discovering some new secrets, and showing off some of the biomes that will appear in the end game. At the time, we felt this was pretty good, so we left it as is. We tweaked our current village area where the player will start their adventure in, and incorporated some small tutorial dialogue and objectives to teach our players how our game actually functions, what you can do in the game, and why you are on this objective in the first place. The big problem here was that we didn't really realize the actual importance of processing information through visual cues rather than reading through a bunch of text. Similar to how we had the old pause menu being a vomit of text information all over your screen and reworking it to be more colorful and visually easier to interpret, we ended up falling into the same mistake with our tutorial sequence. We didn't have enough time to get in any actual tutorial slides, visual pop-ups, or any kind of options menu ready for the demo, so we just kind of threw our players into paragraphs of text spewing information on how to play the game, encrypted into the game's story dialogue. This did not end well for us after launching this thing publicly. The most common feedback I have received throughout the entire demo's lifespan is, well, how do I actually leave the village and start playing the real game? The problem was that in order to teach our game's mechanics, we locked our players into only accessing the main village area until the full tutorial has been completed. Normally this would be fine, as you want to slowly introduce mechanics one at a time to players in a safe environment to understand how the game functions mechanically. However, with all of the control information being lost in long lines of dialogue, you end up with a lot of gameplay that looks like this. Dialogue sucks. Okay, so what do I actually do? Give them an experience they can't misinterpret and allow for all kinds of unique ways your game could be approached. People play games in different ways, and you need to be able to be responsible to account for that. When we finally released our demo on October 1st for the Steam Next Fest, we were absolutely blown away by just how many downloads we had received throughout the event. As stated earlier though, this wasn't exactly the reaction we were looking for. We got some positive feedback from some of the game's fans, and a lot of people are still very eager to get their hands on the full game. But I was shocked at just how many people got lost or frustrated with this iteration of the game's demo. I'm not gonna lie, this shifted how I actually saw the game. From a proud accomplishment of a product that I was creating to a shame of misled potential. From memory leaks in the dialogue leaving players confused or pulled out of the experience altogether, to game crashes on fishing in certain locations or getting trapped in the game's poorly designed dungeons. There were a lot of problems with the current iteration. We knew we had to do better, and so we did. Now, before I explain how this whole disaster situation took an inspiring turn, I'd like to ask you an important question. Have you ever thought that maybe you went down the wrong career path? Maybe you've been working in a field you just aren't passionate about anymore. Well, recently I was reached out by a university on the topic of online education. I really liked what they had to say, and so a huge thanks to today's video sponsor, Southern New Hampshire University. SNHU has one of the largest accredited nonprofit online degree offering services in America. With over 200 degree programs offered, there is a wide selection of educational courses for you to choose from and start up that new path. A course I would recommend fans of this channel to take a look at would be their very own Game Art and Development program, where you will learn concepts in artificial intelligence, game physics, UI design, and even get a grasp on learning languages like C++, C#, Java, and get acquainted with Unreal Engine, 3D modeling, and texturing models. All of SNHU's programs are extremely flexible. There are no set class times, allowing you to work when you want and from literally anywhere in the world. If you started college and never finished, they will also let you transfer up to 90 credits so you don't have to completely start from scratch. This university experience is also incredibly affordable, with their online tuition rates being at some of the lowest in the country and haven't increased in 10 plus years. If you're looking to start a new endeavor or take your current one to the next level, click the link in my description to get more information and browse all of their available programs. I really hope this helps some of you guys out there that are just looking to spark a new passion. But now it's time to get back to fixing my horrid public demo. Well, in the new iteration, there were a few key components we wanted to see improved on. The first was creating a more meaningful environment. The team has been working on designing out the map with the concept of open world in mind. We want the player to explore areas that feel a part of a single connected island, so expect a lot of areas connecting to one another and shortcuts to get around a little easier. There are a few interesting places to visit, including a town hall to get more information on what is actually going on in the game's storyline, a blacksmith to forge new items and equipment, an item bazaar for buying and selling goods, and the laboratory filled of mystery and secrets, which I will come back to in a future devlog, so if you aren't already, subscribe to not miss any Monster Tribe content updates and reveals. Now, of course, we did get around to fixing all of the crashes, bug reports, and glitches our fans found in the first demo playtest, but the most important part of this entire revamp is, of course, redesigning the battle scene, because, I've clearly never done this before, so you guys should be very surprised by this. No, but seriously, the new battle scene is super cool, and I had a blast creating this, but it isn't what makes this demo the success that it truly feels it is in its new form. The real major change we made was on how we tackled what the demo actually is. In the last playtest, we gave players some testing areas to explore and play a bit of what the game will be like down the line of release. Well, I didn't really like the idea of just releasing a junkyard of random storylines to fans, so with the new iteration of the demo, you are playing through the actual real game for the first time ever. We are giving the public a hands on the actual beginning of the game with real tutorial sequences, help menus, dialogue to develop a sense of the game's actual story, and even cutscenes. You'll have to wait to check out the cutscenes for yourself when our demo releases later this month. I've never seen this game in a more polished, beautiful state, so I'm extremely excited to show off the new demo to players very soon. The next video on my channel will be launching alongside the new demo, so subscribe right now so you don't miss the second the new video and demo goes live. Thank you so much for watching the content I put out, and make sure to drop a like if you did enjoy this one. I hope to see you back for the next upcoming Monster Tribe Devlog to see what we do next, but while you wait, check out the devlog I created on how I actually designed a successful open world RPG in the first place, or if you're more interested to see how I made game development my full-time job, the video on the bottom is a must watch.